All right. I haven't made a video in a while, and I apologize. Unfortunately, I've already fixed the problem before I made the video, but I wanted to make a video explaining what was going on. I'm at my sister's house, and she has a gas. I believe it's called like a hydroponic uh, hot water system or something like that. I might be saying it wrong. I apologize. But basically, she has a hot water baseboard, and she was having a problem where she was getting heat upstairs and not downstairs. And so what happens is, all right, so I'm just going to start very simply by explaining how our system works. And if it is the same for you, hopefully this will be, informative, because, a lot of the guys who know what they're doing when they explain things, they're really good at it. Unfortunately, if you don't know what they're saying, you don't understand it. Okay, so right here is where the water comes in from the street. Okay, it comes in from the street, and here's a relief valve. This is just in case there's too much pressure or anything like that, and all it does is go down to the floor. I don't know if I can get a good view of it, but all it is right there. It just ends nowhere. Right there, it's going to the floor. I know you see it looks like it's going in the dirt. It's not. It's just because there's a lot of cobwebs. But anyway, so then there's a shut-off valve for your main shut-off in case you have any pipes burst or anything like that. This is what you would shut off. Okay, this right here. Now, I'm just explaining how things work. I don't really know what everything is called. I just know how they work. Even though I've actually taken courses on this, I've taken it so many years ago, and I don't do it very often, so that I know what's going on, but I don't know what the hell anything is. But anyway, this right here, what this is, this changes the pressure from your street pressure to your house pressure. So you don't have ridiculous pressure coming out of your faucet, your shower, all that. So if you have a problem where you don't get any shower water pressure or anything like that, that is most likely your culprit. Anyway, so after this, the water comes in, and then whatever air and overpressured type of water, shit like that, comes into this expansion tank. Okay, this is just to keep everything from blowing up. This keeps everything from constantly, splurting out air or water. Okay, then this is your scoop. Okay, your scoop is fed with by the where is it? By the furnace itself, okay? But it's just to keep everything flowing through. All right? So then this is an air pressure relief valve. So if there's too much air, so that everything doesn't blow up, okay? So then what happens is come down here, and I believe this is a pump. I'm not positive. I believe it's the pump, but it is pumping water through here. Now, the way my sister's house is set up, she has zones. So if you go upstairs, there's one thermostat. If you're downstairs, there's a different thermostat. And there's also another thermostat for the hot water heater, which is right here. Okay? It is not what everybody is expecting to see as a hot water heater. So if you don't have this, it might look a little funny to you, but basically what happens is the water is heated in the furnace and the water gets put into the boiler, and it holds it there for when you need it, for when you want to take a shower. Most hot water heaters work where they're firing down on the bottom, and when it gets hot enough, the water's hot, then you release the water into the shower and yada yada yada. This one's done through the furnace. Anyway, so back to where we were. You have the pump, we come in here, and then we have different zones. Okay, so upstairs and downstairs, their heat rises and cold falls, so you're going to have different temperatures, but you want to keep the same temperature. So if you ran your furnace at the same rate all the time, you'd have a cold upstairs, hot upstairs, cold downstairs. You just have issues. So what they do is zone valves. Her first zone valve is for the hot water heater. Okay, and it follows through to the hot water heater, and there is a thermostat wire right here, and the thermostat wire goes over and it tells this when to turn on and when to turn off. And all this is a valve. So it's just like your hose, on your garden hose, and all it does is electronically tells it when to open and close. You can see the arrow here, okay? So the thermostat says that water's not hot enough. It sends a signal through the wire, and the wire sends to here and says, okay, it's time to open. Say it opens up. Now this also has an end switch. So sometimes people think that this is working and it's not working, because what happens is when the motor in here turns, it is it sends a it sends a signal through the thermostat and tells the thermostat is telling this, we need more hot water. Electronically, this turns on a motor that is in here. What happens is that motor spins and it makes contact with what is called an end switch. The end switch, if that motor is turning, sometimes what will happen is it'll turn, but it doesn't move the lever in order to make contact with the end switch. So what will happen is it'll be, let's say my thumb is the end switch and this is the motor. When it turns, it'll get right to it, but it doesn't get a chance to connect. So you hear the motor work and you think everything's working fine. Meanwhile, it's not reaching. So what you want that motor to do is spin and touch the end switch and make a contact. Once it makes a contact, the end switch tells your pump to turn on. If your pump is not on, it doesn't matter if you have hot water, it's not getting through your house. Okay? So that is two separate problems you can have with this zone switch. So this particular one goes to the hot water heater. This one is the first floor, and that one is the second floor. And that is an extra that is not used. As you can see, when I come over here, on the fourth one, it's not wired up. This is closed. Come up the pipe, over to here. This is also closed. This is a water pressure, whatever you want to call it, relief valve. It's just a valve, but it relieves the water. It drains the system. Let's say you just wanted to drain the upstairs and not the downstairs. You use these four, although this one's not hooked up, you would use these. These are different zones. So we have hot water heater, we have first floor, and we have second floor. Okay, so the water comes in. Thermostat says not enough hot water. Makes a click, makes the motor move, the connection connects, and now the water can flow through. And all it does, like I said, is opens up the same way this would on your garden hose. It's just electronic. So now the water goes through, and it goes to the hot water heater. Same thing. Okay? So you have the water coming in through the street. First floor stops right here. Thermostat says, nope, too cold. Turn on the hot water. Flicks the switch, turns the motor, hits the end switch. Now the valve opens up and it goes through. Now I believe it's either a transformer or an inverter. I believe. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm sure HVAC guys are going to yell at me. But I do know how it works. Basically what's going on is, okay, you have, I think, all right, red is your end switch and yellow is, it says MTR, but basically what it is, it's your thermostat. Okay, so you have on the first one, you have a yellow wire. I cleaned all this up. This was a huge mess. It was way too much. But and I just wrapped this around my finger to make a little bit of a bouncy thing so it's out of the way, so it's not touching hot pipes and everything. And then I put some zip cords. But anyway, so you have the yellows are both the same. It just power in one way and out the other. It doesn't really matter which are which. Okay, so I have power coming in. This is my thermostat right here. Okay, I have an upstairs thermostat, downstairs thermostat, and then hot water heater thermostat. Okay, so they come in. Okay, red is power, white is heat, green is fan, blue is comfort control, and I think it's yellow is cooling. But you can look that up somewhere else. Don't quote me on it. But I know that this is power and I know that this is heat. She does not have central air, so she does not have any other wires running down here. These are running straight to your thermostat. Okay, so you have power running in here. So the power runs on two different thermostats. Sorry, here's the thermostat and here's the thermostat. Both of these white. And out of the white come power and heat out of the thermostat, okay? So you got power connecting here. There's only 24 volts, so I don't want to touch it. It will zap me, but it's not going to kill me. It's just going to hurt. Okay, so it's 24 volts. Thermostat, hot power. And then the other one, thermostat, hot power. Okay, then it's coming out the other end. Okay, as you can see. So in one, out the other, and then it comes back. Okay, so you got 2 yellow for one, 2 yellow for another, 2 red for one. Sorry, 2 red for another. Okay, yellow, red. Okay, so in through the thermostat. Okay, here's the thermostat. Sorry, once again, I'm horrible at filming. Okay, so thermostat comes in, white wire, which is heat. Okay, comes through, tells it to turn on. Click, comes the other way, goes out through the black. Okay, so these are both connected on the same one. You might not have this. I'm not sure. Depends on how your system is set. There's so many different ways to do this. It's just a general, things have to flow this way and this has to be in this order, but you can do it different. Okay, so like I said, you have thermostat, tells it to turn on, it opens, sends hot water through, and now you're getting hot water comes through the pipe. This one is hot water here. This one goes up through the pipe, goes upstairs, goes into the heater, goes into the baseboard heater where you see all those little metal flaps on it, and it comes back out. It comes in here, and now this is be returned. So now this is cold water comes through, comes down here to that valve you saw. Back into the furnace, gets reheated, and then it comes back out. Okay, so if you're having problems with your zones, most likely this is going to be the culprit. Okay, if you get, now what we did was, as you see, there's an Erie here, and this one right here is the old one. This is a Schneider. Okay, they're all the same thing, because here's the rest of it. Here's the valve itself. As you can see, it's closed right now. And if I turn this piece right here, it's kind of hard to do while I'm holding the camera. Okay, you can see it opening and closing. Okay, now first of all, it looks like this one is rusted and it's not opening all the way, but as you can see, this is how the valve works. So it's just electronically telling it to open and close. Like I was saying though, I'm sorry, this is a Schneider. Okay, so you can pull the motor out of here. Here's the motor. Okay, the motor is in here. When the motor turns and moves this, and it makes a contact, and then this is the end switch, and that's how your end switch works. And it tells your pump to turn on. Okay, like I said, here's an Erie, here's an Erie. These are Honeywells. I recommend getting the Honeywell, because if you take this off, when you look in there, okay, the way these, I'm sorry for the focus on my camera, this is actually just my Galaxy. All right, as you can see, the motor right there. Okay, the good thing about these Honeywells, the way the new ones are set up, okay, you can see right here is where the electronic part meets up with the valve itself. Okay, this screw right here, you unscrew from the inside. You can pull this cover off, you can pull the motor out, you can change the end switch, and you do not have to resolder in any of this. The last guy did this one. This is not us. My buddy soldered this in for me because I know how to do it, but I got to be honest, I just have trouble with it. And my buddy does beautiful work, so I had him come in and he sweat this in, soldered, I don't remember what it's called, in for me. And now that we have the Honeywell, I'll never have to change this out again unless it rusts up or something like that, but it's highly unlikely. It's set up for water, obviously, but this will never have to be changed again. Now I only have to change the motor or the end switch in here. So eventually, when this one goes bad, this one will be a Honeywell just like this one. and this one. This is an older Honeywell, but it's still a good one. As you can see. Oh, the other thing, as a matter of fact, now that I'm at there, okay, that I'll explain to you. Now, with the end switch, I'm sorry, with the zone valve, okay, they're all relatively the same. You see these little switches on the bottom of them? Okay, this is manual. It's like a manual override. I'm sorry, I think I took a picture. Okay, so what you can do, if your heating system's not working the way you need it to work, and you need to make sure it opens, as you can see it says open here. Right here it's on auto. I can force this to open. I can make it work. So if you're having problems and your zone valve is broken, but you need to get some heat, get through the night, that's your answer. Okay. They're all set up. Now this one is a little different. It's still a Honeywell. As you can see, auto and open. Okay, same thing. It's an Erie. This would be auto and then open. So they're all working correctly. See? They're moving how they're supposed to move. Okay. Now what you'll notice is if I turn off the power, right now I only have this zone on right now. This is zone 1 because this is what I was fixing. If I switch that off, okay, hear everything turn off? See it moving? I don't know if you caught that. It was focusing as it was happening. But this right here now, it doesn't want to turn. So it wants, hear it? Okay, so the motor's working. Hear it? Okay. Now, don't panic, because when I turn this on, I just turned it back on. Still nothing. Wait a couple seconds. There it goes. Just clicked. I don't know if it's going to fire. I don't know if it's that cold, but you can hear it, and it is pumping. Okay. So, once again, real quick, water in from the street, pressure change, relieves all the pressure, expansion tank. Okay, this is, they call it an air scoop, but, you know, lets the extra pressure out, and, you know, I'm assuming it's the way of getting rid of the air, and that's why it's shaped like this on the top. So all the air will rise to the top, the water will fall to the bottom, the water will flow through, and you relieve the air through the top. Comes down through the pump, goes into each valve, zone valve, I'm sorry. All right. Comes up. This is just for the wiring, but as far as through the pipes, it goes where it needs to go. Comes back out, back through the system, back into the furnace, and gets reheated. Okay. Now I'm going to run upstairs real fast, and I'm going to show you a real quick way to check and see if your thermostat is the problem, because unfortunately, after checking all these things, my actual problem, or my sister's I should say, was right here on the old one. It had one of these style electrical connections, and all this was frayed and everything. Okay, so I reconnected it, I redid everything, cleaned everything up. Now what this is, as you can see, it comes right out of the zone valve, and there's just a little connection with a screw on. I was going to get rid of that, and then I realized what they're doing is, instead of having to reconnect every time you want to change your zone valve, you just unscrew this and wire it up instead of having to do these fittings. Okay, so I left those, and I got rid of a whole bunch of extra ones that they had laying around. All right, now I'm going to run upstairs to the thermostat. Okay, now this thermostat is actually new also, because, let's see if I can get a good view in here. Let's see here. She's got it behind her TV. It's kind of hard to, there we go. Alright, so now this is a new thermostat because she was not sure, or we were not sure if it was the thermostat, because when we changed the zone valve it didn't seem to be working, but like I said, it was a frayed wire. Okay, so now one thing I wanted to show you is when you replace your thermostat, if you replace your thermostat and it still doesn't seem to be kicking on, I don't know if this is a real thing or just something that seems to be working, but it's just like your phone, I guess you could say, where when you're having issues, you just shut it off and restart it. So what you do is you turn your heat all the way down. Okay, right now she's only at 55 degrees because I just got this thing running, but it's actually set at 80. Okay, so what you do is you turn this all the way down, as far as it'll go. You can turn this off if you want, but turn this all the way down first. Okay, then you turn this off, then you go switch the breaker off. Count to 30, 40, whatever. Give it 30 seconds. Switch it back on. Then when you come upstairs or wherever your electrical box is, then you turn this back on. And from what I understand, that resets it a lot of times. There we go. That's a little better view. Okay, so now I'm going to pause the video again. I'm going to see if I can find the old thermostat, and I want to show you how things work. Okay, well, I can't find the old thermostat, so this is what we're going to do. Okay, you can hear it click when I shut it off. Unfortunately, she has so many things running in her house, I can't show you that. You don't hear much now. Okay, now my sister hooked this up, but it's relatively simple. Okay, there's R and there's RC. That's power. Okay, now on some of these, R and C are jumped. As you can see on hers, on the red wire, I'm trying to get this to focus. Come on. On the red wire, there is a little metal. Let's see where my finger is. Okay, right there on the red one, right next to it, you see that little hump there. See if I can get a better view. Okay. All right, see that little metal piece right there? All right, that is a jumper. Okay. Now, I got to be honest, I cannot tell you how to hook up your thermostat without knowing your system, because every system is different. But if you have a jumper, you have to make sure you leave that tab, because I don't know if her old jumper was bad or if it was the thermostat itself or if the thermostat was actually good, because we had that wire problem. But what you're going to want to do is, now normally red is power, so red is R or RC. Now sometimes this will say RH, but it'll be R. Okay, white is W, green is G, and so on and so forth. But you cannot assume that the person who put this wire in put a white wire where a white wire is supposed to be. They usually do, but you never know. You have to make sure that is correct. So white would normally be W, but white is heat. Okay, red is power, red is R. Okay, so it doesn't matter what that color actually is, it matters what it actually does. But most likely people do this correct, but occasionally they have no wires left, so they use what they have. Okay, as you can see, because of the way her system is set up, she only has heat on this. She does not have AC, so she doesn't need all the other stuff. She does not have forced air, so she doesn't need G. There's no fan. Okay, she has baseboard. Okay, but the one thing I wanted to say is, on her system it's not a big deal, but she should have cut off the tip of this so there was not all that extra, because if there's extra and these two touch, or if the red and the blue touch, that is bad news. It'll fry your whole system out. So you'd rather get rid of that, but hers obviously is not going to touch. Okay, now, if you are having problems with your thermostat and you're not sure if it's your thermostat, what you're going to want to do, I apologize, this is turning into a long video. Okay, once again, you cannot touch the blue to the red. Okay, she does not have a blue. See, there's the B. You cannot touch them. That's probably why they put them so far on this particular thermostat, so you wouldn't make that mistake. Okay, so if I want to see if my heat's working, what I do is right in here and right in here where the wires go, what I want to do while they're connected or straight to the wire, I can take a jumper wire or I can take a pair of pliers, and I can touch this wire to this wire by using pliers. Hold on 1 second. Okay, now I'm not going to do it because I don't have a good pair of pliers, but I just want to show what you would do. As long as these are connected, you could either touch the wires here and here, or if they're connected, you can touch the screws where they meet up. Okay, when you touch these two, basically what you're doing is you're bypassing your thermostat. So you're, instead of waiting for the thermostat to tell you what to do, you're going straight from this wire to this wire. Okay, so you would touch these two, and if you hear that heater kick on, then you know your thermostat's bad. Same thing if you have a G wire. If you have a G wire, that means you have forced air. If you have forced air, what you're going to do is you're going to touch the red to the G. Okay, R to G, RH to G, RC to G, either one. You may or may not have jumpers. Probably do. And as you can see, you know, it's different for everything. But when you touch these two, that fan will kick on. If your fan kicks on, when you touch metal to metal here, and that's why you have rubber handles, so make sure you have a good set of pliers. But when you touch these two, you're bypassing the thermostat. So if that fan turned on, or if that heat turned on, or if that AC turned on, your thermostat is bad. Now this actually happened for my sister, but because she had a frayed wire downstairs, it was fooling us. So that's something you want to check for, and I would check for that first. But if that's not, this is how you tell if your thermostat is bad or not. Now I got to put it back in because she has no heat on right now, and it is about 5 degrees right now. Okay, sorry. The other thing you want to do, okay, it says electric or heat pump, okay? And then the other one says gas. Sorry. Okay, and there's a switch. They don't all have that, but you have to make sure if it does that it's correct. If you have electric or if you have a heat pump, you move the switch to electric. If you have gas or oil, then you move the switch to gas or oil. Okay, so make sure that that is correct. The other thing you can do, if before you replace your thermostat, if it's giving you problems, first thing you try is replacing the batteries. People forget that they don't use it very often as far as physically touching it, so they think it's not working, it's not wasting their batteries, but it's something you don't think about. Change your batteries first, and then see if your thermostat's working. If you jump it and it still works, then it is a problem with your thermostat. I'm sorry, if you jump it and it works, yes, if you jump it and it works, it's your thermostat. If you jump it and nothing happens, it's not your thermostat. If everything stays the same. Okay, I hope this video was helpful, and I hope that you can get through this and it was understandable. I don't know, I know I'm making up words right now, but questions or comments, put them in the comments, and I'll see what I can do to help you out. I hope this was a little more elementary, and hopefully you can get your heat working. Like, comment, share, subscribe.